I just wanted to make this quick video. It's months overdue, and today has just been one of them days where I was walking up to the prayer spot and I was thinking, if I'm going to speak about anything, what would it be? And this came into my spirit on the way up to the prayer spot. I seen a person there, and on the way back down I seen a second person there who kind of confirmed, maybe a confirmation that it's, time to share this with people, because I started to get emotional, and these two people turning up and saying the same thing is there's no such thing as coincidence. But the reason I want to make the video is that in March, so this, like I say, it's months overdue, is that was the time that my dog Mishka passed away. We'd had her for 8 years. We got her from the kennels when she was 4.5, and she died when she was 13. In March, early March, I think it was the 4th or 5th, I think. It was a Sunday. I remember the Friday, the Thursday, I felt in my spirit that something was going to happen. I said to my father, my dad, my earthly father, that, do you want to come round on Saturday and spend a bit of time with Mishka? I don't think she's got very long left. And he was like, oh, no, I'll see you next week. And then on that Sabbath day, that Saturday, she had a great day. She had a little bit more energy, but on the Sunday she died. Basically, cut a long story short, she felt really bad. She went in the back garden, and it was really weird because she didn't want to come in. I realised in my spirit that she was looking for a place to die, like a lot of domestic pets do, that they look for a place a little bit outside of the personal space. They don't want to die in front of everyone's personal things, being like considerate in their hearts, I suppose. And she went outside and she died there. She went outside for a place to die there, because then I tried to get her in. She wouldn't come in. She was a dead weight, and I knew then that she thought she was going to die and she wanted to die there. And I had no problem with it, to be honest, because it was in the garden. But then it's just the heavens opened up and it started raining hard. And I thought, well, I'm not going to leave her outside to get soaking wet, on her when she's dying. But I couldn't lift her. We had to put a sheet underneath her. And I still couldn't lift her. So I had to go for my dad to help. I had to go pick him up 5 miles away, drive back, put her on a sheet, lift her in the house, and basically she laid there on a bed with her head on a pillow, and she just died there. So it was a very sad day. And then my employer Biffa, who was so great, they said, oh, take your time, and then literally 12 hours later they were saying, oh, we've gave your job to someone else. Biffa, that is, and it's the North Wales branch who do the green bags, a person called Nick Smith. So very disappointed in them a lot, but and everyone's so, sad and upset about this event happening. And basically confirmation now, because I've just seen these two people. One person says, where's your dog, because they already knew my dog had died. They said, are you getting another one? And I was like, no. And then I went to prayer spot. I wanted to talk about this, but couldn't really find the words, and it was a bit, I think when God wants you to speak, then everything just flows, and naturally. And I was on my way down, and I seen this second person, almost like two witnesses, two people that witness. Like, obviously we have marriage these days, but in the Bible, 2 witnesses, 2 people, confirmation. And then the second person says, oh, aren't you getting another one? You should, on your own again. She goes, I wouldn't go out walking if I didn't have my dog. Mind you, she's got, I don't know, 10 dogs. She like rehomes them. And she's like, oh, you need to get another one. But then I was walking up the hill and I thought, for my own lust, for my own wants, then getting another dog would be, something to do. But then I think back to the real big purpose in this life, to serve God in the end of the age is my number one goal. And just before Mishka did die, I've made an agreement with God that when the events of the end of the age begin, like Seal 1, the Antichrist is crowned and released to conquer the world, it says. That I said that I would go out to his coronation day even and prophesy against him to whoever's there, the crowd. And then I would go on tour around the UK, prophesying exactly the same thing for what I believe will be a very short period of time. And then, before God passes over in his throne, Neberu, which happens on Seal 6, so you got Seal 1 is the Antichrist being crowned and released, and Seal 6 is God passing over with great fury and destruction, but salvation in his hands also. That's when the rapture happens, first rapture. And I said to myself that, well, that's when I've got to return home here to Wales, to this part of the world where I live now, which is higher up, which is a safe haven because of the sloshing of the oceans, possible increased sea level, all these things like a sea level of 20 meters or 25 meters increase because of the tectonic plates dropping would cause a great, it would flood out most inhabitable places in England and in Wales, because a lot of the bigger places are more towards sea level. So I know in my heart that I'll be returning. I know in my heart that God brought me here because just before I was born, my parents moved here. Now I look at it in the big picture and I'm like, wow, God has been planning this. Just before I was born, my family come here. There was that big earthquake, the biggest earthquake we've had here. 20 days later I was born. But like looking back now, I think, well, God has had me. He's been planning this since, the day for me to be safe, to carry on and to talk the things which God has shown me, which the things are immense. So two things that I would return here before the sixth seal happens, or for the sixth seal. And one thing is my promise to God that I made. I wouldn't say a covenant with God, because, unless God's actually spoke back, I would have thought, then, you could say that it's false. But my promise to him was that when the Antichrist is crowned and released here, and he sits on that throne of David in London, which the Queen sits on, that I would go out and I'd prophesy against him. And I'd prophesy all the things which I've learned, which is an immense amount of information, which I share things and still people don't understand or get, because maybe they're not supposed to. A great revival will come before God's throne passes over, but only that time will come in God's time. And I pray that happens during the seals. And I'm willing to go out and share everything I've learned and prophesy, even in the face of the king, even in his front garden, you could say, in front of the palace, and prophesy to his people, telling them what's happened, and what's going on and what's going to go on, and just everything really, and travel the nation warning them, especially England, because like I say, that's more flat. And if there was a sea level to rise, then you would just have two islands called Scotland and Wales pretty much, and the rest would be deserted. So Mishka dying, just before she died, I thought in my heart and my spirit, I suppose, that if she died, it would be a good thing. And that's a bad thing to say, but it's true, because let's say she was still alive, or she was on her last legs, and I went away and the first seal was about to open, and I went to prophesy against the Antichrist to start the beginning of these events, and then she was to die. In my heart, then, would I have to come back home to bury her? All these different things. So for her to die and to be, cremated and everything else, and to be taken care of before it happens, and that absolute blessing. So when people, and she had a good life as well. She had a great life. I couldn't say we could have done much more together, and she had a great death as well. She went to sleep. Literally, she went to sleep. No pain, no nothing. No pain, no nothing. She had her head on a pillow, and she went to sleep. And it was so great. But her dying has been so great as well, because it frees me up to, when seal 1 opens and that Antichrist, the real Antichrist, not the dragon, Satan incarnated, or not the false prophet, the third part of the Trinity, the Antichrist, the counterfeit Jesus, basically, and you have that in your mind, then you'll be able to see a lot clearer who the Antichrist is, the one who's coming to pretend to be Jesus Christ. And, if you just look at it, and who has the royal right to the throne of David, then it's case closed, pretty much. The firstborn as well to the Virgin Diana, the Isis, or the Virgin Diana. Then it's easy to, I don't even have to tell you. So yeah, just the main point of the video. Sorry if I'm digressing. I just like to give as much information as possible. But the reason for the video, and I'm glad I've made it now, is that my dog dying was the key, the opening door to allow me, or to allow, actually. You might say, oh, that's a bit saying that your dog dying's got anything to do with it, but my dog dying in my journey of the end of the age with God, my dog dying allows me for the end of the age events to begin, i.e. seal 1 to open and the Antichrist to be crowned and released. So my walk with life, my dog dying, like I said, allows the end of the age events to begin for me, much happier and perfectly done. So it basically is a sign, but it is a few months short, but the Antichrist hasn't been released yet, so let's not get all stuck up on, well, she died in March and the Antichrist hasn't been released yet. Well, time can tell. King David gave the throne to Solomon in like 1/2 a day, like in the morning time or whatever it was. It was so short that they did it in a day. So, and I've got to be ready, but I've got my Exodus bag ready, I've got transportation, I've got all the things, which, all I've got to do now is just lay down everything that I know, so it's accessible for people to see, because when I'm gone on prophesying to this nation and then returning home, I'm going to not have time to answer questions, or what does this mean, what does that mean. It's got to be all put down as best as I can, laid out, like any form of information, whether it be a book, which I've got a book, a presentation, which I've got a presentation, also video explanations on everything. So I've just got to lay all them down things, and and also I hope that for my own personal things, that when I return home here to, Conway, Snowdonia, North Wales, I'd love to, I've always had in my own vision, but of course this is my own wants, that I'd love to marry my, a wife to be when I return home here. So that would be a great thing to have also. So I pray that all these things happen. So I hope you probably not enjoyed this video, but maybe you've got some inspiration thinking, well, if he thinks that now the end time events can begin, then maybe this is the right time. Because the truth of the matter is that, and people ask me, and the answer is the seals haven't opened yet. So keep watch, and God bless you all. I've been Pastor Justin Roberts, St. Justin, martyr for the end of the age. God bless you all. Amen.